Just now, the unimaginable occurred. The producers had had enough and ejected Letitia and Mauro. However, what caused this startling change in circumstances? Was it private strife, drama behind the scenes, or something darker? The true causes of the explosive firing, the information they would prefer you not to know, and the implications for their future on the show are all covered in detail in this video. The truth is much more surprising than you could ever have imagined, so stay tuned. Even though reality TV is notorious for its unexpected turns, what occurred to Letitia and Marcelo is startling. Fans of the show have been following their marriage, business, and interactions with other cast members for months. However, the fan base has been shocked by recent behind-the-scenes reports. In front of the cameras, Marsau and Letitia have been pivotal figures as they navigate their personal and professional lives. However, things have recently taken a negative turn. The producers, who are usually the masterminds behind the drama we see on film, are reportedly fed up. According to reports, Letitia and Marcelo were dismissed from the show after going too far, which the producers couldn't overlook. What may have caused someone to make such a dramatic choice? We'll dissect the startling incidents that resulted in their removal in this video. What were the producers aware of? What part did Letitia's and Mauro's personal problems play in their choice? What does this signify for their reality TV future? All of the insider information, behind-the-scenes tales, and exclusive insights will be shared with you, talking about the dramatic drama, betrayal, and power battles that resulted in the largest upheaval to yet. This narrative is far from over, so stay tuned. It was no coincidence that Mauro and Letitia became well known on the reality TV program. They came into the public eye as a prosperous, motivated, and seemingly ideal couple for the cameras. They told a gripping tale. Letitia, his similarly driven wife, is balancing her profession, family, and the demands of being a public figure with her ambitious husband Marcelo, an entrepreneur with a keen business sense. However, their picture-perfect life was not without its challenges, as is the case with many reality stars. Despite their attempts to project a united front, viewers were able to perceive the underlying tension between Letitia and Mars right away. There were times when they laughed, but there were also infrequent, tiny hints of their relationship's weaknesses. They weren't as unbeatable as they seemed, whether it was because of arguments about their marriage or the great scrutiny that comes with being on television. This dynamic worked for a time. Their journey, highs and lows, professional victories, and personal struggles captivated the audience. After all, reality TV thrives on tension like this. However, what occurs when the cameras stop recording and the distinction between TV drama and real life becomes too hazy? As viewers became increasingly involved, here's where everything started to fall apart. Letitia and Marsau's marriage appeared to be becoming more tense. However, behind closed doors, the situation was more worse than anyone could have imagined. Why did they become outcasts instead of reality TV stars? Behind the scenes, what began as an interesting relationship between Letitia and Mars gradually changed into something more sinister. The world of reality TV, as we all know, is fueled by drama and conflict. However, there is a thin line separating producing interesting content from going too far and into anarchy. And this is where Marcelo and Letitia's situation began to get out of hand. Producers and crew members started to notice strange behavior over time, scenes that weren't on the script and that weren't limited to the cameras. Both the audience and the producers, who were responsible for preserving the show's integrity, could see the fissures in their marriage. Although reality TV is frequently somewhat contrived, it runs the risk of becoming into a personal grudge rather than an entertaining show when it becomes too personal, and it appeared that Letitia and Mauro were experiencing precisely this. Rumors circulated for weeks that Letitia's ferocious nature and Mauro's efforts to steer the story were starting to go beyond what was appropriate on site. Their supposed strategic tension, which was intended to help them develop their on-screen identities, started to take on the appearance of a genuine conflict. They were more than simply fictional figures. Everyone was uneasy because of the two individuals whose unresolved problems were leaking into the production. It is well known that producers are rigorous in their efforts to keep their actors under control. They are adept at handling conflicts, navigating egos, and even converting stress into high-scoring moments. However, it can be a serious warning sign when it becomes apparent that the conflict is getting out of control. It appears that Letitia and Marsau crossed this exact boundary, forcing producers to intervene. However, Did Letitia and Marsau's personal problems alone lead to their expulsion from the show? Or was there anything more sinister going on? A covert treachery that sealed their doom? See what the insiders have to say about the true cause of their dismissal by continuing to watch. Something much more unsettling emerged as the tension behind the scenes intensified. Marsau's purportedly covert interactions with a different producing company. According to reports, Marsau was taking actions outside of the spotlight that would completely alter the game, while Letitia and Marsau were having trouble with their connection on the show. According to people close to the production team, Marsau was discussing the prospect of a spin-off or possibly abandoning the current show completely with a rival reality TV network. If confirmed, this action would be a grave betrayal to his wife and the producers who had put a lot of money into their story. It goes without saying that becoming a reality TV star involves more than simply acting. It's about knowing when to play the game, staying loyal, and preserving your brand. Marsau's purported conversations with the other network, however, were perceived as a direct challenge to the producers. Careers are known to be made or broken by reality TV series, and an insider switching networks can be extremely problematic. This change would negatively impact the show's ratings and continuity, in addition to their personal and professional ties with the producers. When the producers found out about Marsau's covert negotiations, they apparently took a tough stance because this kind of betrayal is not tolerated. Initially, nobody was able to verify if these rumors were accurate. Was Marsau really thinking about going? Could it be that he was negotiating with a rival network? The rumors persisted, but it wasn't until a leaked email purportedly showed that Marsau was actually in talks with another production company that the reality was exposed. This sparked a series of incidents that led to conflict between Letitia and Marsau, as well as between the pair and the show's producers. However, Marsau's covert transactions weren't the only aspect of the betrayal. It turns out that Letitia might have been more involved in the ousting than she was admitting, and her knowledge may have been crucial. Was she involved in the plan to bargain their way out of the performance? What does this signify for their future together? Things are going to take a startling turn, so keep watching. Letitia found herself in a maelstrom of emotions and choices that no one could predict as the secrets started to come to light. From the outside, Letitia seemed to be just as committed to their joint success as a couple and as television celebrities. However, the question of whether Letitia was fully aware of her husband's conduct or if she knew exactly what he was doing behind closed doors emerged with the disclosure of Marsau's alleged hidden dealings. Letitia's initial response appeared to be that of a devoted wife who was taken by surprise by the revelation. When rumors about Marsau's scheme started to spread, she seemed truly surprised. Many fans and insiders, however, were left wondering if there was more to the tale than she was disclosing after her reaction to these disclosures. Was she truly unaware? Or did they have a larger plan to manage their image both on and off camera? There have been rumors that Letitia may have strategically allowed Marsau's covert transactions to take place because she was aware of the power dynamics in the reality TV industry. Was she planning the move in secret to give herself and her brand a larger platform? The distinction between personal and professional life can occasionally get hazy because reality TV is a business. Indeed, according to some insiders, Letitia had a stake in switching networks in order to advance her career, but she was unable to initiate contact. Letitia reportedly expressed a need for greater control over her story in a number of behind-the-scenes interviews. She had been portrayed for years as the lovely mother, the devoted wife, and the person who always supported her husband. However, Letitia may have sensed a chance to change her own narrative when the balance of power changed. Could it be that she used Marsau's activities as a springboard for her own professional growth, tacitly participating in his betrayal? The fact that their split was public only served to complicate matters further. Letitia found herself in a precarious situation where she had to control her emotions while publicly defending her love. She might have lost everything if she had been too forthright about how she really felt or appeared to support her husband's behavior. Additionally, she might come out as weak or innocent if she were really upset or hurt. Finding the correct balance was crucial, and both fans and producers closely examined what she said. The big twist, however, was when Letitia's closest friends began disclosing unexpected information about her. Was she planning to leave the program herself in secret? Or was she attempting to ruin Marsau's future in order to further her own career? You might be surprised to learn the truth, Watch this space to learn what sources are saying now regarding her involvement in this whole incident. The tension behind the scenes had escalated to an unavoidable level of intensity by this point. The treachery and Marcelo and Letitia's difficulties on set led to a poisonous environment that was beginning to impact not only their marriage but the entire production. The tension had become personal, and the producers of the program, who live on conflict, were growing uneasy. What had started out as a deliberate effort to produce gripping drama was rapidly degenerating into something untenable. When Mauro and Letitia were invited to a private meeting with the producers, it was the decisive moment. What started off as a standard check-in ended up becoming a fight that nobody anticipated at the meeting. According to sources, the producers voiced their worries regarding the couple's conduct both on and off camera. They made it apparent that their personal feud was no longer amusing. It was unprofessional and disruptive. The cast members of a reality show need to be committed to their roles in order for it to flourish. In addition to being dependable characters who can add to the plot each week, they must be prepared to show vulnerability, generate drama, and open up. Letitia and Marcelo, however, were no longer merely show characters. They were now considered a liability. The producers were uneasy because it appeared like their personal issues were starting to take precedence over the plot they were meant to be advancing. The producers' mounting doubts about the couple's sincerity were at the core of this problem. Was their argument becoming overly contrived, or was it genuine? Authenticity is essential to reality TV, and when viewers begin to wonder if the drama is staged for ratings, it seriously undermines the show's credibility. The entire brand of the show would suffer if Marcelo and Letitia were exposed as part of a web of lies, in addition to harming their own reputations. The producers had been considering their alternatives behind the scenes. Others believed that the relationship had been too toxic to save, and their once exciting plotline now appeared forced and unnatural, while others hoped that Mars and Letitia could change their ways and rekindle their on-screen chemistry. A producer's off-the-record admission that the couple's unprofessional behavior and ongoing arguments had alienated the cast and crew marked a turning point. The issue was whether their prolonged presence was ultimately worth the harm they were causing, not if they should be kept on the show. Letitia and Marcelo pushed back in spite of the drama. The producers had to make a difficult choice because they were unwilling to give up their positions on the show. However, they realized it was time to set an example for the couple when they were confronted with the truth. The producers revealed the shocking information as Letitia and Marcelo were summoned to a final meeting. They were being taken out of the performance. Their marriage and betrayal were not the only factors in the decision. It has to do with the show's long-term viability. Letitia and Marcelo had to leave because the cast was growing more and more irritated and the ratings were on the line. However, the removal itself wasn't the most startling aspect of their departure. It was the fallout. What effect would this have on the other actors? What part did the other actors play in urging their dismissal? In actuality, their removal might have triggered a series of events that fundamentally altered the situation. Stay tuned as we reveal the producers' covert reasons for making this choice and how it impacts the show's future. The consequences of removing Letitia and Mars from the show were immediate and extensive. When a major character is fired from a reality TV program, there are always repercussions, and the drama doesn't end on television. Actually, it appears that the controversies surrounding their exit only served to increase conjecture, which had an impact on the cast, the audience, and the show's future. The response of the cast. When word leaked out that Marsau and Letitia were leaving, the other cast members reacted immediately. Some were secretly relieved, while others were sympathetic. The couple's increasing tensions had made many of the cast members uneasy, and their personal problems had been leaking into the group dynamic, adding needless stress to the shooting process. According to several sources, long before the producers intervened, Letitia and Marcelo had distanced themselves from the other members of the group. Their tense relationship and incessant drama had already caused a rift. For personal as well as professional reasons, some cast members had begun to distance themselves from the pair. The cast had strong disagreements on how to deal with the marriage, according to behind-the-scenes conversations. Others just didn't want to be caught in the crossfire of their ongoing fight, while others of them attempted to mediate and provide support. Fans respond with surprise and rage. However, the supporters' reactions were arguably the most explosive. Diverse viewpoints proliferated on social media. The revelation devastated some admirers, who believed the couple had been unfairly singled out. Letitia and Marsau were the show's main characters. They made it real, and now the producers are just throwing them away for drama's sake, a Twitter user commented. However, other fans had a different perspective. They thought the couple's departure was long overdue and that they had grown too accustomed to their on-screen identities. Lastly, Letitia and Marcelo have only caused problems. It's about time the producers put an end to the drama, commented another enthusiast. The fans' divergent views reflected the increasing tension within the cast, with some seeing Marcelo and Letitia's departure as the end of a chapter in the show's history, and others seeing it as a necessary shakeup that would allow the show to move forward in a healthier direction. They were taking up too much screen time with their problems. The media coverage was a double-edged sword, with outlets from all over the entertainment spectrum picking up the story in the days after the announcement. However, there was no denying that their departure left a hole in the series' core, as Marcelo and Letitia had become the face of the drama, for better or worse, and the show had to recalibrate without them. Some outlets delved into the rumors about Letitia's role in the drama and Marsau's alleged secret dealings, while others focused on the scandal of the couple's ousting, while others asked whether the show could survive without its most controversial couple. Headlines ranged from sensationalized claims to more analytical pieces. Although the producers and cast publicly defended their decision to remove Marcelo and Letitia from the show, there was a growing sense that the true story was being kept under wraps. As the drama unfolded, the media coverage was a double-edged sword for the producers, bringing new attention to the show while also casting a shadow over the remaining cast members. The questions mounted daily. Could the show continue to move forward without Marsau and Letitia? And more importantly, what had actually led to their removal? In the days after their departure, sources close to the production started leaking information about some of the behind-the-scenes decisions. As the rumors spread on social media, insiders' whispers exposed a much more intricate web of reasons for their dismissal, one that extended far beyond personal drama or a toxic relationship. In the high-stakes world of reality television, cast members must continue to comply with producers' instructions, maintaining a level of cooperation that ensures the storyline remains cohesive and compelling. Many pointed out that Marsau and Letitia had not only become difficult to work with, but had reportedly become increasingly difficult to control. Marsau's purported business dealings. Could this have been a factor? One of the more explosive rumors that started to circulate after their departure was the possibility that Marsau's business dealings had come under scrutiny. Unfortunately for Marcelo and Letitia, their behavior had become unpredictable, and they were perceived as a potential threat to the meticulously crafted narrative. Marsau had always taken pride in his business success, but rumors began to circulate that some of his business endeavors may have been more controversial than the show had ever let on, giving rise to rumors of dubious financial practices and the potential for shady business relationships. In fact, some inside the production team said that Marsau had been involved in a number of business deals that were either too risky or legally dubious. These included claims that Marsau had partnered with people and businesses that had a bad reputation, which led some to think that Marsau's involvement in these activities might have damaged the show's reputation. Could his covert activities have been the last straw for the producers, who were already worried about the couple's public image? Letitia had also come to be seen as a focal point by the producers, but for different reasons. There were rumors that Letitia's involvement with some cast members had raised eyebrows, despite her love for the show and the drama she brought to the table. According to some insiders, Letitia's close relationships with some producers may have fostered a culture of favoritism, which in turn caused resentment from other cast members. In the days after their departure, the true impact on the show's future became clear. The producers weren't merely making a calculated move to shake things up, they were actively positioning themselves to rebuild the show from the ground up. The tension was evident, and many thought this was just another reason why they felt it was time for Marcelo and Letitia to leave. Unquestionably, the loss of Letitia and Marcelo was a blow to the series, but it also presented a new chance to change the show's dynamics and introduce new, less controversial characters. According to sources, Casting agents were already searching for new, more obedient characters who would adhere to the producer's instructions and the storyline they wished to develop. But one question remained in many people's minds. What kind of long-term impact would Mauro and Leticia's departure have on the show's reputation? Would viewers still tune in if the show no longer featured the same level of intense drama that had been their hallmark? This sparked more rumors that the producers had grown weary of trying to control Mauro and Leticia's unpredictable antics and were searching for new blood who would be easier to manage.